Hi YouTube, this is Kerry, and tonight I'm going to give you a small video demonstration and tour of the JVC Series 300 projector. This is nothing new. This is quite old technology, going on 20 years old actually, maybe even 25 years old. But it is pretty cool. Despite a ton of work, the payoff, if you're going to actually go through setting one of these bad boys up, is you get a beautifully bright, and I mean really bright, gorgeous, high definition, native widescreen, 1080p, 6,000 lumen projector, and they're very, very cheap on eBay, like less than $1,000. Be aware though, these things are a nightmare to set up. They are not plug and play at all. A lot of complicated technology, but give you a quick tour of how this works and just the enormity of the thing. This projector is big. It is about the size of a snowmobile. It is mounted in a big bracket that I've got set up in my basement. And there's a shot of the picture tubes. Notice that all three of them show up as red. That is because these picture tubes are infrared CRT phosphors. And I'll explain how that works in a minute. It is a power-hungry beast. That big box right there is the power supply, weighing in at about 50 pounds and draws 240 volts single phase and anywhere between 20 and 30 amps depending on how hard you want to push the bulb. Personally, I don't run my bulb very hot. Designed for a 60-foot screen, I run about a 7-foot screen, so I don't need a ton of amperage to light the thing up. As you'll see in a second, it's a fully lit room, and I'll play you a quick demo right now. This is one of my favorite demos. There it goes. Of course, I'm in the way here. Let me see if I can get it. There you go. That's a better shot of it. So this is roughly converged with brand new picture tubes. I haven't put a whole lot of effort into convergence or color balance or shading or any of the stuff that really makes this projector shine. This is a couple of days of work. I probably honestly need to spend several more hours on it, but it's a really cool projector in that it gives you the full resolution of a CRT projector, including the really good black level, but with the brightness of a bulb projector, and it's just gorgeous. I mean, this thing really rocks. Takes quite a bit of work to set it up, but there's your live demo of that. I'll cover some of the parts now. I have a wired tech remote for it, and the user remote's far simpler than this, but you need this technical one to do all the setup and configuration of it. It has a little LCD display on it that helps you pull numbers and set parameters and things like that. Another critical tool that I have, these are very rare. This is the auto setup camera called the auto setup tool. I don't know if you'll ever find this. Seriously, these things are so rare. I believe I'm the only guy on YouTube posting this up here at this point. What that does is, I'll cover that in another video, but that tool is crucial for a technique called shading, and shading is just absolutely difficult, almost nearly impossible without that tool. Anyways, this projector is almost magic how it works. I've got some of the parts laid out over here. So here's one of those infrared picture tubes. There's 3 tubes in it, red, green, and blue, just like a normal CRT projector, except these all are infrared light. So this one, let's say it's green, for example, whatever would be green shows up on that as infrared light, and that infrared light shines into this part here, which is called an ILA, or an image light amplifier. If you look at this, it's a mirror on one side and a like an LCD absorption on the other side. It only has 2 wires to power it. And all that honestly is an AC signal, and the voltage is fixed, and it's not very high voltage, and the frequency is also fixed, and it just causes that crystal in there to pass light from the back to the front, kind of. This guy here, this is called a beam splitter, and it has 3 ports. It has the top port, which you're seeing here, and I have it backwards. Let me get that right for you. Okay. And then it has the input-output port here, and then it has an output port on the front. And the projector lens would go right here where my hand is. So what happens is the light from the light bulb gets broken into red, green, and blue. In this particular case, a very bright green light would shine down onto this. All of that green light would come out of here and hit this ILA, and because it's a mirror, all of that bright green light gets reflected back in. Where the magic happens is if the picture tube has a picture on it, and the ILA will actually convert that light and polarize it based on how bright the photons on the back are. So any polarized light that gets shot back into this gets allowed to pass through this out to the front, to the lens, and out to the screen. So whatever's on this tube gets amplified by this and shot out to the screen, and what's driving the picture is actually a very, very bright light bulb. Here's a light bulb for you. This particular bulb has gassed out, so I know it's safe. Otherwise I wouldn't be keeping one of these just laying around on my floor. This has no pressure in it. A normal xenon bulb would have a lot of pressure in it, and this wouldn't be a very safe thing to have laying around your house. Here's the reflector dish for that bulb. It's pretty large stuff. This is the actual lamp house assembly. Take a look at these wires here. Look how thick those are. So this light bulb runs on DC voltage, not very high voltage, approximately 30 volts DC. However, the amperage is immense. Around 110 to 120 amps at full power. Again, I don't need to run mine at full power. The screen size I run in my house is nowhere near 60 feet, so I don't need a 3,000 watt light bulb. If I ran it at full power, it would literally cook my eyes out. But I run it at about quarter power, and that's plenty. That gives me decent black levels. You can see that picture is plenty bright. We're in a fully lit room here. Let's see. The other tool I use is a Minolta CS100 chromometer, and this thing is really cool. I got it on a tripod. There's a trigger on it, and you can see I've got a zip tie on there holding the trigger down. But basically what happens is you look through a viewfinder, kind of like a camcorder. On the back there, you place your eyeball on that. You target what you want to look at. And in the case of a JVC 300 series, you're targeting the center of the screen. And you set up for perfect grayscale. So you balance your red, green, and blue to get gray at 20% and 80% IRE. And once you've done that, what this meter tells you that you're on key on that, and once you've got that lined up perfectly, then you go into the auto setup procedure. And what happens basically is it takes, since you've set up the center of the screen to be perfectly gray, then the camera takes a picture of that and compares every cell, not pixel, there are no pixels in this system, but every cell of the screen. There's 1,024 cells, and it looks at every single one of them and compares its brightness to the center and makes adjustments if it needs to be brightened or dimmed to match. And that's done on red, green, and blue. So really what you've got here is you've got a picture tube with 1,024 points of it would be awesome if they already were equal, but in the real world, the way these crystals work, these ILA crystals, they're not perfect. When they grow the crystal, they do the best they can, but there's defects, and they're just not uniform in their optical response. So you got, for example, your left corner might be really dim on the red, but might be really bright on the blue. And if that were to happen in real life, your color balance would be wrong in that corner. So shading equalizes everything out. And I will do another video on shading at another time, because that's a little bit more involved. But there's basically a general idea of the thing working, and as you can see from this, it definitely is pretty bright. And remember, we're running this at only about a quarter power right now. Thanks much.